Hi there, Daniel Hall here, and welcome back to the channel. I'm progressing, percolating, and evolving today because I am excited about what we're going to cover. We're actually going to show you how to profit from public domain content on Kindle, okay? And actually build yourself some really potentially very, very lucrative passive income streams. And I'm going to actually show you some examples a little later on in this video of books that are doing very, very well, from several $100s each and every month to several $1,000s each and every month. And they're public domain books. Okay, so if that sounds good, let's jump in right now. So the first question you may have here is, what is public domain content? Well, public domain content, I'll just put this as succinctly as I possibly can, is content that is freely usable by the public. It's in the public domain, which means you could use it, I could use it, anyone could use it. And here's the kicker, okay? Without asking anyone's permission or paying anyone royalties. What? That's right. That's what we're talking about here. Content that is already available to everyone. Most people don't use it, of course, but you and I, we do, or you're going to after you watch this video for sure, because the opportunity here is really tremendous. So let's talk about that for just a second. Using high quality public domain content, you could actually publish desirable and highly marketable Kindle books very, very quickly. Therefore, and here's the rub, here's the huge opportunity, you can create an army of these books fast, having them all potentially earning money for you, okay? Now, when I first had the idea to do this, and was talking to friends of mine in the industry about it, their first sort of reaction was, well, is that even allowed? So many people actually believe that Amazon does not allow public domain information to be published as Kindle books. So let's first look at Amazon's terms of service to see exactly what it says about that. So according to Amazon, it says here, and I quote, "Our program allows the selling of content that is in the public domain." That's the very first sentence of their guidelines. So obviously there are some conditions where public domain material is allowed, but there are qualifications. One thing that you need to understand is that Amazon may ask for proof that whatever you're publishing is in fact in the public domain, and I'm going to teach you how to address this in just a second. And it may refuse public domain content already on Amazon or available for free on other websites. Now, here's the other interesting thing about how you can actually put up just about any type of public domain content, even if it is available elsewhere on Amazon or other places for free. And that is making your version of it different. And as a matter of fact, that's what Amazon says here in its TOS. In order to provide a better customer buying experience, our policy is to not publish undifferentiated versions of public domain titles where a free version is available in our store. We consider works to be differentiated when one or more of the following criteria are met. Okay, so we're actually going to talk about these criteria, how to make your books, your publications different. Okay, and it's really not all that difficult. So for most public domain content available online, it is not good policy to simply just rip it off and publish it if it is available online. So if the public domain is not freely available online, for example, you were at a garage sale and you picked up some magazines from 1920 in the public domain, most likely, and maybe not published online elsewhere, that is okay to publish straight away. However, what I want to focus on in this video is public domain content that is available online. So what makes it different? Well, according to Amazon, it is differentiated here when one of these following criteria are met. It's either translated, annotated, or illustrated. And I'll talk about each one of these here in turn. So our focus here in today's video is number one, where to source our public domain content, how to know that it is in the public domain and prove it, because about 1 in 10 titles that I put up on Amazon, they will ask. Amazon will say, hey, prove this is in the public domain. I'm going to show you how to address that. And then some easy ways to actually differentiate your book, make your book different. So let's start by where to source public domain content online. And your first thought is, well, is there enough of it? Well, let me just tell you, there are literally millions and millions of titles out there. From the one source that I have for you here, as you can see, way over 5 million titles in this one database I'm going to tell you about in just a second. And they say that it represents only about 39% of what's in the total public domain. And by the way, I should tell you that new public domain material and content is being published daily, hourly, okay? So it's not just old stuff, it's old stuff and new stuff all the way through, okay? So let me first tell you about some of my favorite public domain websites that you can use. First is Gutenberg.org here. This is a site that publishes mostly classic books. They have some other stuff in there, but some really, really great stuff here. And I wanted to just point out here that if, as, and when Amazon asks you to prove that something is in the public domain. So let's say you pull something down here from Gutenberg.org and you put it up, you make it different, like we're going to discuss here in a couple minutes. We make it different. You can actually, if you go 1, 2, 3 here, hit the little download button, because that's where you'll land, and then go to BibRec. So this is for the book, The Kama Sutra, also in the public domain, also a huge seller. I'm going to show you numbers on how well that book sells on Amazon today. A little later on, it's astronomical. But here's the thing. You could do your version of the Kama Sutra and prove to Amazon that it is in the public domain by hitting download and then BibRec. And then if you look down where it says number 3, take a screen capture of that public domain content, send that to Amazon. You're in, okay? I've never not had that work, okay? So Gutenberg.org here. Here's the other thing, and this, by the way, bell ringer, okay? Everything, or almost everything, that the U.S. federal government produces is in the public domain, okay? It is in the public domain. So think about that for just a second. The U.S. federal government is the largest content producer in the world. And because they have the money, they actually have great credentialed people creating this stuff. So use GPO here, which by the way stands for Government Printing Office, and USA.gov. You can get great stuff from there. And I actually wanted to just show you here this and once again prove to you that this stuff is in the public domain, because I went to GPO's website and look for their copyright status notice, and I've highlighted it here in yellow for you, that public domain, or let's see, it says, unless specifically stated otherwise, all information on the U.S. Government Publishing Office website is in the public domain and may be reproduced, published, or otherwise used without GPO's permission, okay? Whoa! You know, that's really, really powerful when you understand that that is what is available to all of us, all right? And here's the other site I wanted to show you here. This is HathiTrust.org. And once again, this is a great repository for lots and lots of public domain material. So those are 3 sites that you definitely want to check out. And by the way, it could actually be fun stuff like digital, comics, for example. I have another site here for you called digitalcomicmuseum.org, and there are others like this. And you could just, once again, see, I've got it highlighted in yellow here, free, public domain, copyright free, and in the public domain. So that's everything on that site. So if you're asked for proof, what you're going to do is send Amazon a link to where you downloaded the content. Sometimes that link will indicate the public domain status, and if not, link to the statement on that same site that indicates the copyright status, okay? So let's turn the corner here and talk about how to differentiate your public domain Kindle book. Well, that's once again pretty easy because you can translate it, annotate it, and or illustrate it. And I'm going to show you how to make these different in just a second so that it actually qualifies to be published on Amazon Kindle very, very quickly. So let's talk about first translate it first, because this is, by the way, the most difficult and least likely to be usable by most people, maybe you. So this is where you provide a unique translation of a public domain work in something in some other language. For example, French, English, Swahili, whatever, okay? So you're basically taking a public domain work that may be in some other language and you translate it into another language, your own translation, right? That's cool, completely permissible. So you can take something that may be in Greek and translate it into English, for example, okay? But for most folks, that's probably not what they're going to do. So let's talk about the other thing that you could do in this if you don't say no another language, okay? Or you don't want to mess with it. Well, I just wanted to show you this example. This is the Klingon Hamlet. So basically it's, taken some other language and made into, so Hamlet obviously is in the public domain. Well, it's not obvious, but it is in the public domain. All of Shakespeare is in the public domain. Somebody made it into this book. Look at this. What about Chaucer's Canterbury Tales translated into Pig Latin? Okay, this is, I'm kind of poking fun a little bit, but this is what you could do if you really wanted to with public domain stuff. But once again, probably you're not going to do translated if it makes sense for you. If you have other proficiencies in other languages, great, then do it. Let's talk next about what I consider to be one of the easier ways to differentiate your book, and that is to annotate. So annotations contains annotations unique, and this is again coming right directly from Amazon, unique handcrafted additional content, including study guides, literary critiques, detailed biographies, or detailed historical context. So you take, let's take Shakespeare again, and you are doing a detailed historical context that you are adding to the front or the back of the book to essentially add more value to the underlying content, right? That's really what we're talking about here. And then the other thing that you certainly could do is, and this is once again really, really easy, you could just make a study guide. So make a quick outline of the content and then remove keywords and replace them with blanks and create and include an answer key and add that in your book. Perfectly cool. That's acceptable for Amazon to do, and it makes it different. The other thing that you could do to annotate, you could do literary critiques, detailed biographies, detailed historical context, and obviously you could write this and add this yourself. If you want to do a literary critique on what the title is about or what the content is about, great. But here's the other thing: maybe you don't have expertise. Maybe you're not a literary expert. Well, consider interviewing and some expert and transcribing that interview and adding that to the book. That's cool. All right, you could do that as well. Here's some examples of interviews from my own podcast. Obviously, my own podcast is not in the public domain, but essentially this is what you could do. You could just interview folks and add that interview to the front of a public domain book, just like I've done here with these. Now, the other thing that you may ask yourself, and I often get this question, is, well, how much content do I have to add to the underlying work? Well, I always say, don't ask how much, evaluate whether you're actually adding value. So it could be as little as 2 or 3 pages, or you could simply add footnotes or endnotes. That's also cool. Completely permissible there. Now, so I'm basically going in rank order from most difficult to least difficult. The illustrated is by far the easiest, because with illustrated, all you got to do is include 10 or more unique illustrations relevant to the book. Okay? So here's a little top secret bonus for you. The images themselves can be from the public domain, or at least include public domain images. All right, and I'm actually going to give you some resources for that a little later on in this video as well, where you can go download these images and stuff. So I wanted to just show you here some top selling examples of public domain material that just, crush it. For example here, the King James Version of the Holy Bible is in the public domain. And as you can see here, this is annotated, but you could just as easily do a illustrated version of the King James Version of the Bible. And look at how much this is making according to Publisher Rocket. By the way, great software called Publisher Rocket that I use to do my market research. And if you're doing this kind of work, I strongly suggest that you do market research to find out where the holes are, where the opportunities are. I'm going to put my affiliate link to Publisher Rocket in the comments to this video. But suffice it to say, definitely look at the kind of books or the books that are selling in for a particular title that you're considering doing to see whether or not books are selling. Obviously, the Bible is probably the #1 bestseller of all time, at least in the Western world. And is this particular version of it, they're making, look at this, $1,164 a month, okay? Or what about this one? We talked about the Kama Sutra a while ago. This version of the Kama Sutra is making $671 passively each and every month. And just to prove to you how completely insane this is and how great this opportunity, Amazon itself is in the game. It produced this Walden Amazon Classics Edition, which is basically bringing in $7,200 a month, okay, for Amazon in this particular case. So yes, there are, and I can go on, keep going with this, but you get the idea. There is definitely opportunity here with these titles. Here is a list of places where you could download public domain images so that you could include them in your public domain book to make it illustrated. I'm going to put this list in the description below this video as well, so you can just click on it and go. And I want you to keep in mind here that books that meet this criteria must include, once again, translated, annotated, or illustrated in the title field, okay? And examples of some features not considered differentiated, this is, again, according to Amazon, include table of contents, formatting improvements, collections, sales rank, price, freely available internet content, okay? And I just wanted to go back here for just a second and show you, if I go to this, the Bible, you see where they basically did the same thing. Because they know it's in the public domain, they used King James Version annotated. Okay, that's what this is all about right here, where it says translated, annotated, illustrated. That has got to be in the field itself. Okay, now let's last talk about royalties. When you publish these differentiated public domain based Kindle books, you are eligible only for the 35% royalty, not the 70% royalty, okay? So keep that in mind. Don't click the 70% royalty when you know that it's in the public domain. Now, there is a way to qualify for the 70% royalty and still use public domain content. What I would like for you to do is to let me know in the comments below whether you'd want that video, and I will make it for you in the future. So let me know in the comments. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate if you would do that right now. And also make sure you hit the notify button so that when I turn out another one of these great videos for you, that you will be notified of it. And also, it really would help the channel and help to support me and me making more of these videos if you like and, of course, comment below. That would be a huge help, and I'd really appreciate that. One last thing I wanted to just cover here with you, that somewhere around here, I'm going to post a video for you if you want help in writing your book faster. Because let's say you're going to do annotations, or you're going to do something a little bit longer and you have problems like I do writing quickly. I have 8 great hacks for you in this video right here. So see you later. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, be the blessing.